Hey everyone, after waiting more than 3 months, I'm back with my 5th theory on everyone's favorite creepy film, Coraline. As I've said many times before, this movie was the reason I started this theory channel in the first place, and although I've only made 5 theories on it compared to my 7 on Harry Potter, the theories are much more dense and concentrated. And today will be no different when I cover aspects from my past theories, aspects from other theories, and new Easter eggs that Coraline contains. I won't really be making one large analysis, more like several smaller points and ideas, but they should all lead up to a part 6, which I promise to make sooner than I made this video. Watch my other 4 theories, especially part 3, for clarity on certain topics I discussed today. Anyway, ready for a theory? So instead of diving into some of the more primary points of analysis, I decided to start part 5 off with a cool, fun Easter egg. One of the strangest things about Coraline that kind of gets overlooked is that Russian ringmaster Mr. Bobinsky has blue skin. It's clear that the creators tried to make the real world as boring and ordinary as possible, in order to make the film more realistic, the other world more dramatic, and the whole film creepier. So adding a Smurf-like figure like this doesn't make any sense at all, does it? Even I admit to overlooking this aspect of the movie, dismissing it as something the creators just felt was right. But if you take a closer look at the medal on Bobinsky's shirt, you'll notice that it says, "Participant in the Cleanup Campaign." This is referring to the nuclear disaster of 1986 that took place in Chernobyl, Ukraine. Anyone who participated in the cleanup of this nuclear accident was awarded a medal, with a drop of blood and 3 lines referring to the 3 types of radiation as a logo. And if you compare Bobinsky's medal to the actual medal, they're strikingly similar, making it almost certain that Bobinsky participated in the Chernobyl cleanup, which also makes sense because it's right outside of his home country of Russia. And a really compelling and convincing theory is that Bobinsky's skin turned blue because of the radiation he was exposed to during the time that he helped clean up. Henry Selick likes to say that Bobinsky's blue because of the large amounts of time he spends out in the cold, but I'm pretty sure that only happens when you have hypothermia or you're in some type of frozen coma or whatever. I mean, otherwise a small percent of the northern population would all have blue skin and we'd mistake them for aliens. What's also really odd, though, is that the Jones family doesn't even question Bobinsky's abnormal skin color, but that's for another day. Another interesting Easter egg that I only kind of just realized is that the Beldam is seen humming pretty constantly. She hums when she's preparing the doll, she hums when she's cooking, and she hums when thinking about the plan Coraline has proposed for her. The creepy, playful melodies feel really familiar, and that's because they're snippets of the actual soundtrack of the movie. Bruno Coulet's outstanding music for Coraline has always been dismissed as gibberish, but could it actually make sense to the Beldam? Is it some type of spider witch language that only she can understand? And even if it isn't, it's cool to think that the music for the entire movie is just a grand scheme of the Beldam's lyrical plan. But now, let's move on from Easter eggs and music, and let's get into actual theories. The whole part 3 of my Coraline series was based around the question of how much control the Beldam has of time in the other world. I came to the conclusion that she actually has a lot of control, and that she can move the other world along different timelines. But then I saw how other videos have proposed this, that when Coraline portals out of the other world for the first time, she's not actually going home, it's just another level of the fake world. This is supported by 2 things, one being that when Coraline truly comes home, it's the exact same time and weather as when she entered the portal at lunchtime in the first place. And 2 is that the fake real world Coraline's in for a day or 2 just has completely fake elements. In this world, Coraline's parents are simply not there, making it seem like they're missing, as do the flies around the groceries. There's also the mirror that mysteriously has magic and shows Coraline an illusion of her parents. But this theory can be completely debunked by a couple of plot details. When Coraline's mom leaves, she makes it clear that she's going to get ingredients for lunch, while her husband is presenting their garden catalog. So if no time passed when Coraline was in the other world, then wouldn't her mom come back alone with a bag of groceries like the ones left on a fake real-world table? Instead, we see both Coraline's parents walk through the front door, no bags in either of their hands. Unless her dad's presentation was over extremely quickly, and he just happened to meet up with Mel at whichever store she went to, then the parents shouldn't have come back together at the end of the movie. But another thing that causes this theory to be really problematic is the key. As the Beldam famously states, there is only one key. When Coraline went through the door for the third time, she left the door open with the key still in the lock. So I ask you this, if the Beldam was able to send her mice to retrieve the key, which she goes on to swallow, then what was the point of creating this whole real fake world? I mean, the Beldam could have done exactly what she did later on, earlier, as it would save so much time and maneuvering. While Coraline was at the show, sleeping, or in the mirror room, she could have obtained the key, thereby locking Coraline in forever, what she literally tried to do later on in the movie. It makes no sense. Unless the Beldam's true goal really was to get Coraline to love her. Remember what the cat said, she wants something that isn't her, or maybe she just loves something to eat. If this is the case, then the Beldam throwing Coraline into a fake real world in which her parents have been taken wasn't just to lure her back into the other world, but to make Coraline value and love her more, and to make her think that she's the only mother she now has. This, of course, backfired completely. Not only did it make Coraline miss and love her real parents more, it made her truly hate the Beldam, with Coraline coming back to the other world with one purpose in mind, destroying her. And although it may seem like the Beldam doesn't act very motherly at the end of the movie, you have to remember how freakishly scared she is that Coraline's going to leave her. And even if she wants Coraline's love, she is also very hungry and impatient for food. However, this all still doesn't solve the parents' problem. We kind of know that it's the same day Coraline left the real world because her father's holding a briefcase, something he would only need when giving his presentation, since he normally works from home. So my only guess is that since the snow globe busted and there was snow on their clothes, it was the energy from the portals making all of these magical things happen. So if Coraline actually returns to the real world at the same time she left, does that mean that time doesn't pass at all in the other world? I mean, we have no idea when Coraline returns home during the 2 nights. The film makes it seem like it's only in the morning, but that could just be the cool editing techniques. The other world doesn't shift between timelines, it doesn't have time, period. It's just an endless flat dimension that will always be there, unless destroyed, sort of like the Upside Down from Stranger Things. Our world is a forward line, while the other world is a void beneath it. And when entering the other world, you basically enter a time vortex, meaning it'll be the exact same time when you exit. So now I'll just try and answer a couple questions to close out part 5. The first being, if the Beldam created a fake real world when Coraline tried to escape this time, then why didn't she do it at the end in the climax scene? Well, first of all, we have no idea how long it took the Beldam to create this separate world in the first place. While it could have been a few minutes, it also could have been hours, and maybe that's what she was doing when Coraline was having lunch and enjoying the show. Meaning that she might not have been able to create this whole other pocket dimension again in a couple minutes, not to mention during the time the cat was clawing out her face. And why didn't the Beldam keep the fake real world up and running throughout the time that Coraline was in the other world? She didn't think she would need it, as the only means of escape for Coraline was in her stomach, the key. And we also know that the Beldam was low on energy, as she hadn't eaten for 50 years, meaning she wouldn't have the stamina to keep up this separate world. Finally, remember how the cat said that the other world is big enough for her. The Beldam likes her small world, and doesn't want to expand it, just like a spider catches Wow, I thought of and wrote like 3/4 of that on the spot. Hope you enjoyed part 5, and if you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you know when part 6 comes out. I also make theories on Harry Potter, Pixar, Stranger Things, Studio Ghibli, and much more, so go check them out by clicking on my videos tab. Thanks for watching, and see you later.